Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of What the Truck. I am your host, Malcolm Harris, and I could not be more happy to be here with you all for another week. Man, it has been an awesome start so far. Last week, some amazing shows, and this week, hey, y'all, we're going to stay in that same pocket and in that same vein. So, got a great guest today. Mr. Curtis Spencer is the CEO of Bloodhound Tracking, and he is awesome. Got with his team a little bit last week, and there is a lot to speak with him in terms of automation, AI, and the incredible stuff that he is doing. And then also, we're going to have some special guests on Wednesday, and I'll get more into that on the road ahead at the end of the show. But before we get with Curtis, because there's going to be a great conversation, where would we be without Verizon Business?
Big.
Small.
Essential.
Big. Small. Essential.
Big. Small.
Essential.
Grande.
Pequeño.
Esencial. No matter what business you're in, Verizon Business has the network and solutions you need to power it.
From the facility to the fleet, Verizon Business gives you real-time visibility into your supply chain so you can keep on trucking ahead of demand and the competition. Learn more at verizon.com/distribution. Thank you so much to everybody at Verizon Business. And let's get down to business with headlines today. So there is a change in leadership at CSX. So you guys get this. Apparently, as I am looking here, CSX Corp announced today its board of directors named Steve Angel as president as well as chief executive effective on September 28th. Angel is the former CEO of Gas and Engineering at Lind, and he also was the chairman of that company since 2022. He succeeds Heinrichs, who has been president, CEO, and board member. So the move comes as a surprise, right? Because Friday, there was a high-profile media event to mark the reopening of the Howard Street Tunnel, and all of a sudden, this happened. So there is more information about this. It is one of our top stories, and yeah, you guys should definitely go check that out. Next in news, let's talk a little bit about this broker liability case that is arising here. All right. So the Supreme Court is weighing in on broker liability. Recent state rulings have started holding brokers accountable when carriers mess up. Federal law says, obviously, the court's decision could reshape how brokers manage risk, structure contracts, carry insurance. The Supreme Court, this is going to be a huge deal because this is really going to impact 3PLs and freight forwarders. This is a great piece from John as well that I think you all should check out. I know that recently with Travelers, we talked all things cargo theft related, and I want to kind of shed some light on this. It's about the U.S. and Mexico border and the obvious, right? Cargo theft surges. They're on the rise. Criminals are getting smarter. There's, yes, targeting high value goods, electronics and foods. There's really a lot of insight in terms of routes. This isn't just a local problem, right? It's going to affect North American supply chains. And it just shows you guys, again, I've kind of harped on this. We've talked about it, but real-time tracking, analytics, it's now important so much in today's kind of environment. So really be on the lookout for all these threats, specifically, as I know a lot of brokers and carriers are working when it comes to U.S. and Mexico freight and opportunities. Let's talk about some trade news. A 25% tariff was placed by President Trump on imported trucks making waves, right? So this adds cost pressure for OEMs, and fleets could ripple through supply chains as well, driving up rates and slowing deliveries. Again, this is a reminder about trade policy and how decisions can hit operations directly. So more on that piece. That was an awesome one that I thought would be great as well. Let's talk about this a little bit because I love this headline. It was talking about truck drivers and wanting more money, not more hours. And I know we have talked a lot about truck drivers and talking about the labor front as well. This is a really cool piece from John. So looking at this and just some soft level highlights. I mean, on the labor front, drivers are sending a clear message, right? Don't give us more hours. We want to be paid fairly for the hours that we already work. Again, highlighting the tension that's going on between freight demand and driver well-being. And this is why, again, we've talked about it, but smarter routing, scheduling, visibility, you got to have these things in place because we have to keep trucks moving. Of course, we have some charts right here from Sonar in terms of data, kind of showing you the inner workings of this as well. I saw this piece from Flexport too that I thought would be really, really awesome. They've unveiled their tech-driven duty drawback strategy for bigger refunds. So again, shaking up trade compliance with this drawback platform, automating refunds. Shippers are going to be able to get cash faster, right? So instead of months that it takes normally, it's going to take days. This is a great example of how digital tools are transforming the behind the scenes of global trade, as well as not just the trucks on the road. So that's definitely something to look out as well for. And those will conclude our headlines today. And super excited again for the show. I think this guy is incredible what his team is doing. And I want to introduce him now, if we have him, Mr. Curtis Spencer. Curtis, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Check it out.
Oh wow, look at that. Hey, listen, we're gonna get you some updated merch. I got a few ideas, what the truck, I'm a big bucket guy, so I'm gonna say what the buck. And I'm gonna definitely
There
send
you
you a
go.
bucket here in the next 30 days, brother. How are you? It's so good to see you.
I'm doing great, man. And I couldn't believe how well your headlines are going to roll right into this whole interview.
Well,
You
nah,
couldn't have teed it up any better.
I got you. I got you. No, I was really impressed. Obviously, you and your entire team, and I was kind of reading and
Thank
doing some background information on you, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. I would love this guy on the show. Before we start, any headline that I talk through, what really spoke out to you? Is there something that you'd really like to speak into before we get into the interview portion?
I tell you, the number one thing that we were created for
Yeah,
was anti-smuggling, get rid of human trafficking, help CBP in the theft and the smuggling that goes on constantly. And quite frankly, Bloodhound Tracking System was designed, and our entire mission statement is all about that. We know that the base level for everybody right now is a good tracker, but a good tracker without multiple comm units and without security is just your run of the mill. It's like, you know, uh, don't want to steal anybody's thunder, but it's like an Apple tag for a truck.
yeah,
You don't need that. What you need is security on that trailer. You've got security now because of ELDs on your cabs mostly, but what you got to have is security on that trailer. And I think it gives not only the truckers, but it gives insurance. Everybody else gets a leg up because you've got the security. And what do I mean by that? Bloodhound Tracking Device takes your picture if you open the door. Now, if you're a good guy, you're opening the door to load in your cargo, not a problem. But if you're going in between your route from origin to destination and that truck gets slowed down, you get a notification. If that trailer slows to a what we call a linger, you get a notification. If the door opens, your picture gets taken. Now, I talked to a bunch of high-level railroad guys. If you'll remember, a couple of months ago, there was these terrible thefts in Chicago where they were just opening the doors and pulling out TVs and had the van and their partners right in there, and they were taking those TVs and just throwing them down and putting them in the vans.
definitely.
Well, the railroad had cameras everywhere. They had cameras all over that particular area of track, but they didn't have it close enough where they could pinpoint that Yahoo pulling my stuff out of my container. That's what Bloodhound Tracking Device provides. We also have the temperature, humidity, the shock, and the CO2. CO2 and ammonia are sensors we have in our units as well. So it's a super high level security tracking, and then think about fleet optimization. How many times you got an empty trailer, an empty container, and you don't really know exactly where it is. You think you know where it is, but quite frankly, you don't. And that's the added benefit of having a tracker that's always on and that's globally assured location analysis. The specific analytics that we provide in the back end are absolutely stellar. Dwell time, detention demurrage questions, completely solved by having the Bloodhound Tracking Device.
I love that, Curtis. Now, let me ask, I mean, you're not obviously, I mean, yes, you are the CEO of Bloodhound, but you spent
Huh?
decades, right, when it comes to shaping logistics, ports, intermodal.
Oh, yes.
How did this journey lead you to launch this just amazing company and product in 2021? What was the trampoline and the journey like?
Man, I'm really glad you asked that. So I had the terrible honor of giving a speech in New York City
Hmm,
in early 2002.
okay.
And the stupid hotel that they put me up looked right onto that hole.
Oh,
I have to tell you, I've never been more touched than having to see that. And I vowed that I was going to help our country for whatever it took. And I'd already been in logistics for 25, 30 years by that time. So I got on a committee for the new Commissioner Bonner at the time to try to find the technology that would eliminate, terrorism and threats in our supply chain. And I had to give the report. And I told him, I said, there's nothing. We don't have it. GPS is barely out of the box. Batteries don't last more than 2 or 3 weeks. So since 2002 to 21, I was searching for a product that would do all the things I needed it to do. I had a lunch with a NASA engineer. He said, well, no problem. We do this in space all the time. I said, you do what? Yeah, we miniaturize. We have long battery life. We have these cameras that all of a sudden the thought formed in my brain, holy crap, we can do this ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
So I went out and got the seed money, got the team put together, and in 2 years, our prototype went into production. And the rest of it is going to be history. I mean, we're at the intermodal shows, we're at the trucking shows, we're at the TPM in the fall. We've been to FreightWaves. We won second at the F3 conference last year, where I met you and got this thing. And everybody was, you were just handing out hats. I mean, it was, but it was fun. It was fun. And I think now with the theft on the rise, I think I just saw another stat that it was over 147% theft rise from last year to this year. 147%. We've got to do something about this. And
No,
if you know
I agree.
exactly where your box is and exactly who opened it and touched it last, you're going to know.
There was a point that you made that I really wanted to talk through because obviously you're a speaker, right? You've done this time
Yes,
in,
sir.
time out. I mean, you are definitely what I call a road warrior, right? You're speaking at all
Yes,
these
sir.
different conferences. I mean, what's one trend
I'm
right
at a
now?
conference right now.
No, literally, I remember your team was telling me they're like, "Hey, like his schedule's packed, but like he'll make some time." What's one trend that people are just coming to you about, and they're like, "Curtis, like, what's going on here? Like, what is that one thing that you're constantly kind of seeing?" I mean, I know we talked about cargo theft and obviously technology, but can you kind of hone in on one specific item?
Tariffs are always, I mean, theft and tariffs are the two top things right now. I mean,
Yeah,
it is absolutely ridiculous in our marketplace. Now, you mentioned Flexport having a new drawback program. Well, I've been in the foreign trade zone program for years, and that program is much easier to use than drawback. Even though drawback's good, like you said, it takes it from years and months down to maybe a few months. Well, in the FTZ world, you never pay the tariff up front. So when you export, you don't have to worry about tariff being refunded. So that's driving everything. And I think the second thing that falls into that is corporate uncertainty. Corporations are just sitting on their haunches going, we're not going to hire, we're not going to expand, we're just waiting. Other than foreign companies committing to Trump's, whole purposes of moving their manufacturing into the U.S. You just read about Volvo this morning, going to change a battery
yeah.
factory, electric vehicle factory, convert it to a SUV factory. That was just this morning, that announcement. So they're going from one shift to 3 shifts, going to triple up the number of employees at that factory in South Carolina. So that is happening, but American companies are they're frozen. And I think they're frozen because of the issues of the tariffs right now. So if you talk about trending things in transportation, I'm going to tell you it's tariffs and the freezing of American incentivized movement.
I think you hit the nail right on the head for sure. Now, I was in my bag doing a little research, and you're a writer, true or false?
Yes. Yeah, I wrote a book. I wrote a book in the pandemic called How to Multiply Yourself.
Yeah. No.
My dad told me this story over and over again. He said, look, 2 plus 2 plus 2 cannot equal 6. It has to equal 16. You got to learn to multiply yourself. And you do that with good people. You do that with extra productivity. And, you learn to, if you're good in this section, then you learn to take that and morph it into this section.
Right.
And that skill set can morph, just like speaking has been able to morph me into a lot of different areas of supply chain and logistics. I pride myself in being what I call the logistics consultant to industrial real estate.
Wow.
What does industrial real estate have to do with logistics? Well, all the goods are located in the logistics warehouses that are made by industrial real estate partners. So I've become very close to the industrial real estate world over the last several decades. And that's how I was talking about multiplying yourself. And then I know you probably found this out too, but I also wrote 2 children's books.
Yes, I did.
A lot of fun. A lot of fun.
That's awesome. Now, talk to me a little bit about you. Obviously being an author and a really good writer. How did this help you scale Bloodhound? Like, how did this come to like, all right, this is going to tie into the business this way with personnel and everything going on with the company?
Well, that's a real good question. I've always said that direct selling is really relationships. You just build relationships with people over the long term. Sometimes you end up doing things for no cost. Sometimes you do over and above what you're asked to do because you're building that relationship. And when you build that relationship, you end up extending yourself into that person's realm. And selling Bloodhound it's an intangible. It's it's a piece of hardware on the inside, a piece of hardware on the outside, but you learn to with the speaking capability and the writing capability, you have to explain what this thing does. Why is our system so much better than everybody else's? And that's something that the writing has helped quite a bit with. And then when you're on the floor of the convention center, you're talking to people, you're making your case, and it's just the ease of communication has really helped us in the long run. And most of my senior salespeople are also really good speakers.
It tends to go that way. I
Yes,
definitely
it does.
kind of had the same attribute. I think that's why I ended up here talking to you today. So no, I think we're
Bingo.
doing the same.
Yes, sir.
You're a nationally recognized authority, specifically ports, inland, obviously rail served logistics centers. How do you see these items evolving with today's e-commerce boom and the environment that we're currently in today?
That's a real good question. I think that what you're starting to see is a merging of your typical warehouse logistics operation to encompass everything. I got to walk through a sports company, sports selling, sporting goods
Yeah.
company's warehouse in Glendale, Arizona, that I helped bring to. Actually, it was in Goodyear or Glendale, somewhere in there, west side of Phoenix. And this company decided in the same facility they were going to process skids, they were going to process cartons, and they were going to process eaches. That's you and me buying one shirt,
Yeah.
eaches. They were going to process all that with the same pick and pack conveyor system and shipping system. And it's world class. This is world class. It's been written up. The building won the NAOP Developer of the Year award. That's how cool this building was.
Holy
And
smokes.
the whole point of it was I see a melding of that. When e-commerce first started, there were just e-commerce warehouses and just, company store warehouses. And now they're starting to mold those things together. So I think we're going to see more and more of that. I think we're going to see LTL has got to pick up. I don't, I'm really concerned for truckers right now in this 10 seconds because of the freezing of initiative. Everybody's in, don't move mode because I don't want to make a mistake. And that's got to pop open. And I wish the administration would settle on some things. Don't be changing every single day. People ask me, what the hell's going on with tariffs? Well, I got to get up early in the morning and read everything, get on the computer and figure out what the hell's going on.
Same.
Because nobody knows until they read what the administration decided last night. I mean,
I agree with you.
you're
100%.
doing the reporting. You're seeing it every day.
No, literally, like I'm over here pecking. I'm like, all right, like let me look at these headlines. Let
Yep.
me look at these different platforms and mediums, and because it is truly like day by day. Like there's decisions that are
Oh,
being
yeah.
made that they're positive for sure. I think it's keeping the industry in mind. We talk about Secretary
Yes.
Duffy and
Yes.
the news that came out on Friday, and I want to ask because you mentioned this earlier, and it's crazy you didn't see these questions, and it's just like you're going down. I was just like, holy cow, this is awesome.
I love it.
Industrial real estate, supply
Yeah.
chain tech, they're colliding. They're doing the stance. They're moving fast. Where does Bloodhound fit when it comes to this intersection? Because you mentioned it earlier, but kind of for our listeners and watchers, how are these things kind of intertwining in your world?
Okay, so there's three things I think that are happening. Number one, all dry box containers are going to have to get analytics, detailed, accurate knowledge of where is my box. We can't go on without having the entire fleets equipped with Bloodhound tracking devices or equivalents. The second thing is and I see that everywhere. I think all the trailers have got to be included in this. All the domestic intermodal boxes for the theft, the detention demurrage question, and the dwell time, the empties. I mean, these are all things that we have to know better to move forward. But to be productive, the transportation industry is not yet productive like electronics manufacturing, right? Or wafer plants. How productive is a wafer plant? How productive is a data center? It takes, 50 guys to run a 1 million square foot data center? Good Lord. In transportation, we're way behind the productivity curve and we need to get ahead of it. We get ahead of it by having the Bloodhound tracking device inside each trailer, inside each container, or the equivalent. I mean, we're not the only company out there. There's a bunch of different ones, but you've got to have visibility as a service. Thank you for showing that. That's very important. Visibility as a service. The biggest thing that we add, I think, in this whole visibility is we also provide security as a service. When I say as a service, our MO, our method of operation is no CapEx required to set up operation. Oh, I only have 200 trailers. No problem. We'll lease you the units and the service agreement so you don't have to come up with a big high amount of cash for a CapEx to get started. Whether you're doing 2 million units or 200 units, it doesn't matter. So that barrier to entry has been the number one barrier to entry. The barrier to the thieves and the smugglers out there is our units are covert. We want to make sure that the unit is as covert as possible. So you ask where I see these things intersecting.
Yeah.
We've got to have better analytics in the trailer, in the non-powered equipment. And it has to be self-contained. It can't be, oh, I've got to drill a hole and I've got to connect up the wire to no. Our units install in literally 5 minutes to register and 5 minutes to put the magnetic units onto the container and trailer.
Most definitely. Now, it was a lot that I liked in there, but something specific that I really want you to kind of drive into. I mean, there's
Okay.
so many, right, quote unquote, bloodhounds, right, tracking devices left and right,
Yes.
but there's really
Yes.
not because there's something different, and there's a differentiating kind of aspect to bloodhound. What is that in this type of crowded space that it seems that everybody has their eyes focused on geo tracking?
So yeah, uh, I'm going to talk about three or four very important differentiators. Number
Okay.
one, our communications protocols include three paths: cell GPS, SATCOM, and an IoT mesh that literally covers 3 to 5 kilometers. So every one of the Bloodhound units talks to another Bloodhound unit. Where was this important? If you're stacked up in a terminal, if you're on a double stack container train, if you're on a ship in the middle of the ocean and you're way down below and there's all these other containers above, our units literally talk to each other, store and forward. Yes, sir. Store and forward the information so that no information is lost. We're built on a different framework. It's packet framework, store and forward, and hop one to the other. So part of the benefit is that three communications. The second thing is we've got a tamper switch and we've got the camera. Nobody else has that. It's really important to understand. If you open that box, your picture's getting taken. Then the third differentiator is our ability to install quickly without any tools per se at all. No tools is not required. You just pop the thing, you register it on our user app, and then the unit is tied to the trailer number or the container number. Now, the fourth thing that I think makes us super differentiated is we've got this sensor suite that we're expanding and expanding and expanding. Next year, we're going to have a fentanyl sniffer.
Are you serious?
Now, yes, sir. Now, I
Wow.
want you to think about cross border trade
For sure.
with the fentanyl sensor. If I've got the ability to know, customs can know that unit on that trailer has checked to see if anybody opened the door and it's got a fentanyl sensor, and the trailer owner or the operator gives that permission to CBP. We're working with the National Targeting Center and CBP right now to say, hey, does that not warrant a green lane, a true green lane? I was the CT-PAT co-chair with my friend from Walmart, Lisa Schimmelpenny, for 4 years on a committee called COAC, the COAC committee. It's designed to provide oversight of customs operations back to Congress every year. CT-PAT, you're familiar with that. That's Customs Trade Partnership Against Terrorism. They've got 3 levels. They've got a tier 3 level. Well, can you imagine if you put in a unit that can do what Bloodhound does, notify you about a breach and detect fentanyl, or the border's closed now. So how are they cartels getting people across? They're going to go back to sticking them in trailers.
Yeah, I agree.
They stick them in trailers, and my CO2 and ammonia sensor picks that up. Ding, it goes off. And it's a push notification, not just the normal once an hour ping or once a 15-minute ping, which, by the way, that's another big differentiator. I started asking all these competitors, how often do you ping, to report your location on just cell? Once a day. Oh, that's how you're getting a 10-year battery life. you know, if we get a 3.5 to 4 year battery life pinging every 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, definitely, and you can
A
see
lot of
the
differentiators, my friend. A lot
you
of
can see the
differentiators.
return, and no, there's a lot of differentiators, and another question that I had for you as I was sitting here thinking, when it comes to tech, right, and specifically tracking tech, yeah, it's not technically mandatory, but you think as these things to your point and what you were talking about specifically for, border issues. Do you think these
Oh
are going to
yeah.
swing into the mandatory realm sooner rather than later?
Listen, if you know how Trump is,
Yeah,
and my hat's off to him. I got to tell you, nobody's cracked down on the border issues as much as he has.
I would agree with
But
that.
if he would pick up your podcast right now, he'd be going, all right, Hegseth and Nome makes everybody who crosses that border has to have a bloodhound tracking device. I
Mhm.
mean, because this will do it, or something like this. I mean, listen, there's a lot of smart people out there. They got other technologies, different different mindset than ours. Hey, we're not asking for 100% of the pie. We're just asking for a small piece of the pie because the pie is humongous. You've seen the stats on Laredo crossings. They're up 150% over last year. And
Yeah,
we haven't even got to the end of the year.
it's nuts.
It's insane. It's insane. One of our top sales guys is Ed Grootman, who's a really top guy in the trucking business. And he's dealing with these guys all the time. And the volume of increasing commitments by large company, DHL, SEVA, XPO, GXO on at the border is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's really phenomenal,
Let's
and it's
talk.
gonna keep on growing.
I'm sorry
It's
to
gonna keep
cut
on.
you off. No, no, no. That was my fault. Let's talk a little about blockchain because you've talked through this, right? And it's going to be the next step in terms of transparent tracking. What excites you most about this specifically as you've kind of talked through it and your team's very much so pushing this out right now?
So yeah, let me kind of give you a little bit different take on that.
Okay.
Our team is working on machine learning capabilities to follow patterns of life. Now think about this. This is forensic type data analytics that allows someone to say, okay, we're a trucking company, and we've been taking this route, Monterey to Chicago, right? We've been
Yeah.
taking this route, and we notice that every time we deviate to a slightly different route, we're a half a day to a day faster. How did you know that? Because I got the analytics to tell me. Now, when you look at patterns of life, the productivity improvement goes through the roof. Think about fleet optimization. This one customer continually has my trailers 4 days longer than they're paying for. I've either got to get that paid for, or I've got to stop selling to that customer. I've got to raise my rate. Where you were talking about the truckers demanding, hey, we really thank you for looking into us, but we rather not have more hours. We want more money.
Yeah.
Well, part of that is productivity. Part of that is going to be productivity when they can demonstrate not just the ELD data, because that ELD doesn't tell you when you're tethered and not. You really need that trailer data because that's what's carrying the goods. And and quite frankly, I think the Bloodhound tracking device is going to be a trucker's best friend because
I
they
I would agree with
also
that.
they also worry about, some of these thieves are not just stealing the cargo, they're holding up the trucker at gunpoint.
Yes.
Get out of the cab, we're taking over.
Yeah. It's legit. It's a legit thing that's happening across the
It
country. I
very
mean,
much
we
is.
talked about it, specific hotspots. Obviously, we know California kind of
Yes.
leads the way too, and it's nuts.
California, Texas, and Illinois, man.
Yeah,
All
those are the
three.
top. Those are literally the top three.
Yep.
You've been doing this right 40 years, right? This has been
Yes, sir.
you in
40
the
years.
game. You've learned a lot. You've seen a lot. But what's been the biggest change as we've evolved? Like, yes, there's obvious layups like technology, but like, what have you really seen that you're just like, wow, like this is really things just not like the old days?
In a good way or a bad way?
I would say both. I would say both. You're
Yeah.
just like, man, I wish it was like this, or hey, like this has improved so much.
Well, automation is good,
Yeah.
but when automation leads to theft, like these electronic bills of lading, and not enough thought went into that in the very beginning to protect what's happening with the misdirection, and another trucker shows up with the right paperwork, takes that, absconds with the trailer, and nobody even knows it's gone for 5 days, and then insurance gets involved and, lawsuits. I mean, it's gotten to be ridiculous. So I think that automation has to have safeguards and some rails to it. And that's the same thing with AI, same thing with machine learning. All that has to have good guardrails. But one of the things that I see that the industry has moved to is you have these excellent software systems out there, TMS, transportation management software systems, and global trade management systems. These are all they're exploding in their capabilities. And when you add the physical units like Bloodhound units, then the divergent data, which is terrible. For example, one TMS provider said we get 8 in-gate notices for the same container over 4 days. Now, that is errant data.
For sure.
If the Bloodhound tracking device is on that container, I know exactly where it is, exactly when it got off. Oh, when it got put in a stack, it's at the bottom, but no worries, it can still see the sky. The accuracy is our next step. They've done a great job in the last 15 years developing good tracking mechanisms, but they still are, they're out of sync. The JOC had a conference or a survey. How many of you people in transportation say you've got great tracking? 82%. Shippers, BCOs, how many of you guys think we have great tracking? 27%.
It literally flipped.
Yeah, 82 to 27. Somebody's not reading their other people's mail. And so you got to have that accuracy, right? You got to have accuracy. So you built these wonderful systems of reporting.
Yeah.
But what data is it reporting? My theory is we've got to get that data more accurate.
No, I think data accuracy and integrity is 100% where we
it is.
need
And
to
it's the
focus
next
on.
level, bro. It's the next level. We
No
have
doubt.
to get there.
No doubt, no doubt.
Have to
Now,
get there.
let's talk real briefly. I got about 3 more questions for you. 2 are going to be
Sure.
fun. I think this is the last serious one. But if you had a room full of shippers, and professionals in the industry for all the dogs, let's just call them that.
Yeah.
What's advice for 2026 and beyond, knowing what you've done and kind of seeing the trajectory and being a real student of the game? What's some advice that you have for everybody that's listening right now?
Okay. First thing is don't panic.
Yeah.
All this tariff up, tariff down, tariff up, it's going to all level out somewhere in the 15 to 20% range overall. Secondly, everybody realizes that when tariffs go up, the foreign supplier has got to reduce his price, and they do. And it's just, I've seen this cycle years and years and years happen over and over again. So first thing is don't panic. Second thing is it's going to level out. The third thing is mitigate the tariff pain by using a free trade zone, a foreign trade zone in the U.S. I mean, that's a little bit, on the one hand, it could be seen as a commercial, but on the other hand, just be smart about it. That's the only way to mitigate tariff pain. It's not drawback. It's not bonded warehouse. It's the foreign trade zone.
Yeah.
The third thing is force your carrier. You're the BCO. You're the shipper. You're the dog in the hunt. Force them to make accurate tracking device decisions. Force them to give you the king of the hill, not the throwaway tag. You're not helping yourself. You've got to have. I mean, you've been on the phone, right? Your cell phone, and the call dies.
Yeah.
Guess what? You lost all that data. With packet technology like Bloodhound, you never lose the data. Even if it's store and forward, you never lose the data. So force you guys, CEOs, CTOs of chief logistics officers, You guys force your carriers, trailer carriers, your ocean, your rail, everybody to have accurate tracking device that adds the layer of security that you need. You're in the driver's seat. You're signing those transportation contracts each and every year, or you're doing it on spot. Make it part of the requirement. You must have a tracker that provides security, or you don't get my freight.
No, I think you are absolutely 100% right on that. Now, little quick lightning round before I get you out of
Sure.
here. Obviously, you are the CEO
Sure.
of Bloodhound. If I was a dog breed, I think I would be a Rottweiler. I think me and a Rottweiler kind of look the same. What would you be if you were a dog breed? What would you be?
I love German Shepherds.
Yeah.
My first dog was a white German Shepherd.
Nice.
And just so, yeah, I'm a German Shepherd, loyal
Nice.
to a fault. I'm going to break your hand if you come after my kids.
No
You know,
doubt.
and they're the biggest, meanest looking dog that is a gentle. It's a family dog.
Yeah.
So that's me, white German Shepherd.
I agree. I agree. And I always do the segment is what the truck moment. So, what is your what the truck moment, real fast? Basically, some things you're like, man, Curtis ain't. I ain't built for this, man. This is crazy.
I tell you what, I'm not built for the. We think we're smart. The bad guy is smart as hell.
Yeah.
And you got to keep thinking one step ahead of that guy. A lot of friends of mine are customs officers, and they'll tell you that, the problem with the border and just fighting crime and fighting smuggling is that we take 2 steps forward and the bad guy takes 4 steps forward. Then we got to make up and take the other 2 steps to just keep up with what he's coming up with.
No doubt.
I mean, watch that, Seized at the Border series that's on Discovery or wherever on TV. That, my wife and I will watch that and go, good grief, how did these guys even think of this? So we have to step ahead. And my hat's off, again, to all the Customs and Border Protection people out there. I've spent my life working with them. Guys in the Phoenix, Tucson area, in the Houston, the Laredo, the Tijuana, just the top level people that work super hard to protect us.
Definitely. Mr. Curtis Spencer, you have not disappointed, brother. Thank you so much for coming on What the Truck today. Definitely looking forward to hopefully seeing you. Are you going to be at F3?
We're working on trying to we've had 16 conferences in the last 2 quarters. So
Oh my
we're
God.
like running it. But yeah, we're supposed to be there. We're
Nice,
supposed to be
nice,
there.
nice. Well, I look forward to meeting you in person, and please send your regards to your team. This was a fantastic interview,
Thank
and I really appreciate you again, brother.
Appreciate you. Take care, man.
Yeah, you as well, man. Again, that was Mr. Curtis Spencer, CEO of Bloodhound Tracking. Some quick household keeping items before we get up out of here. Y'all know F3 is on the way. And check out this right here, y'all. The after party. I had a great episode with Mr. Kevin Nolan this past week, and this is going to be crazy. This lineup, $1 Million Man, my dog is going to be in the building. So much food, drinks, some wrestling. Guys, if we can real fast, I know, but I just got to show the people this wrestling because this is off the chain, y'all. Check this out. We got some small space for some wrestling, some attitude, if you guys understand what I'm saying. Bow, look at that, man. That is crazy. This is going to be epic, y'all. I don't think Chattanooga's ever seen an event like this. This is going to be awesome. F3 again, October 21st as well through the 22nd. Man, this is I can't deal. This is crazy. Yo, this is gonna be a special, special time. Make sure if you have not signed up to get signed up because you would be missing out. And then the road ahead, of course, we got a star-studded lineup headed here. Mr. Tyler Montgomery of Scout, as well as Mike Hain of Descartes is going to be joining us, as well as a new presenting sponsor on the way. Who let the dogs out? Those are my dogs. Special thank you to my dog, Curtis, for coming on today. It's been another episode of What the Truck. I am your host, Malcolm Harris. We're out, but I'll see you on Wednesday, no doubt.